The significance of a front page, I've got to say, look, it looks super bullish, doesn't it? But we are just a couple of points away, so maybe it's not that bullish. And I actually just did a quick Amazon search. Dow 40,000 strategies for profiting from the greatest bull market in history. That was 1999. Not quite there yet. That's a book you can still buy. And Dow 30,000 by 2008. Why it's different this time, Lisa? You could have bought that on December 1st, 2008. Still available in paperback if you're after it. Joe, what is the significance of a front page, a bullish front page, historically?
Well, I think I would say two things. First, as you point out, 20,000 is not very far from here. We could be at 20,000 by the end of the week. So it's not quite as crazy as 30,000 or 40,000. The other thing that I find fascinating is not what this says about where the market's going to go next, because it's easy to cherry pick covers and say it's a contrarian indicator, but how much the mentality of the, I associate Barron's with a certain sort of older, richer, conservative investor, and I've been looking at Barron's covers since the election, and they're all spend on infrastructure, bonds, and all this stuff. So all these ideas that were sort of verboten for the last several years are suddenly back in vogue, and it sort of maybe tells you more about the sort of Barron's crew than anything in particular, which is not a criticism. Than anything particular about which way the market's going to go.
Well, these are the kind of strategies that everyone wanted to play out, right? Value over growth, look for the good deals, look for the growth stocks, but it wasn't actually playing out. I have to say, though, end of year rebalancing, guys, we got 2 weeks to go. We have a theme. How much can we really believe in until January, Lisa?
I think that's what a lot of people are waiting for, because we've seen this rotation out of bonds and into stocks pretty consistently since the end of October.
Really August in some ways.
I think that the Barron's cover does point to a larger kind of feeling where people are sort of suddenly getting faith in U.S. stocks again, perhaps at the top of the market. But you are seeing this rotation even in mutual funds. So all of a sudden, when you have people looking at their statements, in their 401k plans, are people going to start to sort of reallocate some of their strategies? I mean, right now, you do have a relative underweight to stocks in a lot of these portfolios than you have historically, and if this changes, that could be another bullish leg up.
I think what Lisa's saying is really the key story of right now, which is that we keep every day we're on here, it's new record high, new record high, new record high for the Dow. A lot of people aren't feeling it because they are underweight to stocks. Most people have a lot of bonds in their portfolio, which have been totally creamed really since the summer, but especially intensely since the election. So there's this weird dissonance between the headlines, the covers, another new high, and what people are actually seeing when they're looking at their daily statements every day. You have to wonder if that's going to encourage people to be chasing this rally, try to make some money into all this enthusiasm.
Quite ironic, though, that we're sitting here talking about the potential that President-elect Donald Trump takes us to new highs. At the same time, the reality is we've got a stock called Lockheed Martin down by about 4 full percentage points 10 minutes into the session. The why? Because of President-elect Donald Trump trying to cut costs at the White House when he comes in. Going forward from here, Joe, for the industrials, for some of these companies that have rallied with big government contracts, maybe the reality down the road isn't going to be so bullish for them.
No, I mean, it's exactly right. I mean, everything that people are excited about, deregulation and spending and all that, I never see him tweet about any of that stuff. All I see him tweet is slamming companies and protectionism, antagonism towards China. So there might be a gap between what people expect to see and what people are imagining and what actually he's most focused on.
The analysts and the economists who I speak to say that we're really not going to see any direct effect on the economy from President-elect Trump's plans until possibly the beginning of 2018, right? So right now, people are very much buying the hope. My question is, how much are people looking for signs of inflation in places that they already existed before Trump was elected? Oil prices, for example, which has been pretty tightly correlated to bond yields. As oil prices go up, bond yields go up, and prices come down. It is bleeding into the inflation expectations all around the world that we now have a more than 100% rally since the lows reached in February. How much is this sort of feeding into the perception that Donald Trump is sort of representing on the face, which is we are entering a more inflationary period, and perhaps people are looking to numbers that verify that are really rooted in the oil prices? That is one big question that I have. Right.
And the big question, of course, is the Fed. Yeah, okay, Wednesday, whatever, but 2017, in the second year of a hiking cycle, that can have issues when it comes to stocks.
Absolutely, and it's worth noting that the market expectations for Fed hikes for next year is in line with the last set of dots we got. Everyone knows we're probably going to get a hike this meeting. The real question is going to be the dots. We're so used to the dots coming down virtually every time they update them, but now that they're at the same place for next year, we'll see if the Fed could at least at one part of the curve fall below the market.
Record highs, guys. S&P, Dow Jones Industrial Average, again, record highs.